Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Flight Sim Guy, and today I want to take a moment to talk to you about economics. Economics as it relates to flight simulation. Alright, this is stupid. I can't be talking with these damn headphones on. Alright, that's better. Alright, so today we're going to talk about this really cool, it's not really a game. It's more of a simulation, like flight simulation itself. It's called FSEconomy. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it. What FSEconomy is, it's evidently it's been around for a long time. And what it does is it allows you to use your simulator in a completely different and novel fashion. When flight simulation first got started, you was just in the plane. Then Microsoft worked on the eye candy in the cockpit and the scenery, and then we had artificial traffic, and then we had ATC, had multiplayer sessions, and then the motherlode, or the number one achievement, VATSIM, where you can fly online with ATC and other pilots. But what this does is it allows you to use your flight simulator in a much different way. And what it is, it's an economy, just like it says, FSEconomy. Now, in this case, the economy, it's a marketplace where you can buy planes, sell planes, build FBOs, trade, earn money and everything. There is no particular goal, or you don't really win. You just partake, and I suppose you try to make as much money as you can. And it's a really cool way that you can start using your simulator. So what I want to do today is take a moment to talk to you about what you need to know to get started. FSEconomy is comprised of three primary components. There is what I call the marketplace, which is this website right here. Then there is the workplace, which is this website right here. And then there is the flight simulation client, which you download and it connects to your flight simulator. So let me go through these three one at a time. Here's where you get started. You come in here, you sign up. It's all free. You have to get permission to join. So once you apply, whoever runs this thing gets back to you and they give you a username and ID. And once you're in here, you can there's a forum where you can talk with other people, and you can make announcements, schedule events. Here's where you also have all the documentation for FSEconomy. It has a FSEconomy store. You can find all the users, and I call this the marketplace because once you've earned your money in FSEconomy, you got to do something with it, and usually you reinvest it in other planes or building FBOs or whatnot. And here's where you come and do all that stuff. This is more manual in the sense that you reach out to other people, make contacts and whatnot, and do what you need to do on the side. So I call this the FSEconomy Marketplace. It's a website. You can poke around, figure it out. It's not that complicated. Right here shows me being logged on. These are all the other users. And so here's where you, essentially you horse trade. Next is the FSEconomy. I call this the workplace. This is the login screen. Let me go ahead and log in. Now, here's where you actually come in and GSD. Here's where you get shit done. What that means is, in the FSEconomy world, in order to do anything, you have to have money. And to have money, you got to work for it. You got to earn. And in FSEconomy, you earn by flying assignments. So, let me take a moment to go through the menu in FSEconomy and show you what you need to do to get an assignment going. Well, here's a sitemap. That's simple enough. Here's home. You can change your password. Now, the password I want to save for this website might be different from the market. I'm not sure. But anyhow, you can change your website, change your password, your preferences, statistics, and whatnot. Here is, this shows you your flight that you have scheduled. Here's my flight log. This is all the flights I've done in the past, and this is how much money I made in each flight. This is my bank account. I only have $57,000. Believe me, this is not a lot of money in FSEconomy. The cheapest planes start in the six figures. And you can do groups here, and goods, transfer goods, and FBO, and whatnot. So let's say you sign up for FSEconomy and you want to get started, and you want to earn some money so that you can, start participating in the economy. What you got to do is you got to fly an assignment. Now, so to fly an assignment, first what you got to do is find one. So you go to airports, and in FSEconomy you can only fly planes that you already have in your FSX. By the way, this is only FSX. You can only fly planes that you have installed on your computer. And so you gotta say to yourself, okay, what planes do I fly? And first of all, is it gonna be on here in FSEconomy? And how much is it gonna cost to rent? Now, in all the flights that I've done, I've flown only 2 aircraft: the Beech Duke and the ERJ 145. So what you want to do is, what I do is, search all airports that have this aircraft. In this case, I'm going to use the ERJ 145. So come down here and you find it. Use whichever one you want. This one here. And I hit go. And what you have here is, these are all the airports that has the ERJ in their hangar. Now what you got to do is you got to find one that you can rent. Okay? Because you remember, you're starting out at 0. You don't own any planes. So you got to rent one. And so, you just pick one somewhere. And as you can see, most of these airports aren't major Class B or Class A airspace. These are all tiny airports. So let me just go ahead and pick one here at random. Newark International. So you click on that. And the first thing you got to do is check the status of the plane. So in this case, here's the Embraer. And it's not available to rent. So you go back and you got to start over. Here we go. Alright, so this airport, Edwards, Gulf Shores, Alabama, has an Embraer and it's available for rent. And oh my dear God, look at those prices. Alright, so that's how much it costs to rent. Now, if you're starting out at 0, obviously you have to use an honor system, and you'll only pay the rent after you've completed the assignment. That's how much it costs to rent wet or dry. Now, I want to say wet means fuel included or fuel not included, and something to that effect. I don't recall. But the point is, this is what it costs to rent. And what you want to do is, you got to click on the aircraft ID and get the attributes of the aircraft. This shows you the log of that particular plane. FSEconomy keeps track of the status of the plane in the network. So as it builds up hours, it wears out, or it's going to need repair at some point, and someone has to pay for it. And this is the status of the plane. Shows you how many seats, how much for crews, how fast it goes. It also shows fuel capacity and the current load. There's not much fuel in here, so you're going to have to buy fuel based on the cost of fuel at that particular airport. So you can see where the complexities and the fun of this thing comes in. Payload capacity. As you know, you can only carry so much weight when you have so much fuel, so it does all this for you right here. Shows you what equipment that you have, and it shows how many hours it's been on that plane. And this is a log. Alright, so let's pretend we're going to rent this plane. I'm not going to rent it yet, because what you got to do is you need to make sure that you can make some money. So you got to come up here and see what assignment I can fly. Now in this case, what do we have here? These rows all represent people. In this case, executives, 4, 2, 1, and they're all going to this airport. So what you got to do is do the math. If you're going to fly this assignment, you got to add up how many people this is, add up what the fare is, and make sure that you can turn a profit. Here, this number here is the bearing from your current airport to KTPA. I'm sorry, this is the distance. This is the bearing. So this is southeast for 304 miles. Now, I know from flying the ERJ an awful lot that 300 miles is approximately a 1-hour flight, a little bit less. And if you include a taxi at both the departure and the arrival airport, it works out to about an hour. And as you may recall, there's about 1 hour's worth of fuel in the plane. But you want to make sure that you have enough fuel, so you're going to have to buy some fuel. So you want to do the math. I'm not exactly sure how much this adds up to. It's $1,500. It's about $2,500, $2,700, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000, $9,000. It's about $10,000. Make it about $11,000 to $12,000 overall carrying all these people. So normally what you do is, and I'm not going to fly this, I'm just doing this as a demonstration. You go ahead and check what you want to carry, and in this case it has to be one airport. Or you could have just selected this one but you'd have lost money, or you could have selected this one but you'd have lost money. So obviously this is the best option, and then you add those to my flight. So just click on that. And then you come down here and then you rent the plane. Now I don't recall the difference between rent dry and rent wet. Let's go ahead and rent dry. Okay, so now you go to my flight, and this is what I have here. I've rented an ERJ 145, and this is my assignment. Okay. At this point, I can refuel and buy more fuel, or I can cancel, which is what I'm going to do when I'm done with this clip, because I'm obviously not going to fly this now. But at this point, the FSEconomy world has you reserving that plane, and here's the total value of the assignment, $13,000, and it's going to cost you whatever it is to rent it. So at this point, what you do is you fire up this program. Now this is an FSEconomy Client. It's a tiny program. You don't do this before, and if you've ever flown for the virtual airlines, you know what an ACARS client is. Well, it's just like that. And what you do is you download it and you install it on the computer running Flight Simulator. Obviously, you have to have FSU IPC installed because it uses that. And once you set it up, this is what the screens look like. It's a very, very simple client. You really can't go wrong with it. Once you have it installed, you log in with your username and password, your FSEconomy username and password, and go ahead and hit run whenever these things pop up. And all you're going to do is click File, I think it's Action, Start Flight. Now before you do that, you need to make sure that you have the right plane in the right airport when you start your flight. So when you fire up FSX, you want to move your ERJ, put your aircraft in FSX to this airport. Okay? And make sure you got your weather configured and whatnot. And then when you're ready, you hit Start Flight from this menu where it says Action. And what that does is the client connects to this website and it downloads the fuel information and the passenger information and loads it up into your aircraft. So in this case, how much ever passengers you're carrying, passenger count 18, it adds up and it loads the weight for 18 passengers in your ERJ plane. And then you go ahead and you fly your assignment. You can either fly it online, you can fly it offline, you can fly it however you want. And when you land at your destination, all you got to do is find out somewhere to stop, and once you hit Control period and set your parking brake, the FSEconomy Client does the math and sends the data back to the website. And then when you look in your banking, you can see how much money you earned for that particular flight. Now, it simulates all sorts of fees that nickel and dime you to death. But if you do your math correctly, you can, over time, earn some good money. Now, in this case, I'm going to cancel. And I'm going to select all of these and release them because I'm not flying this. And cancel selected assignments. Now once you have your own plane, obviously the margins for your assignments become greater because you're not paying any rent, or you can go ahead and put the plane for rent and other people can go ahead and find it and use it. Just remember that as the plane is being used, the time log builds up, and eventually it's going to have to get fixed. And you're going to have to account for that, just like in a real aviation economy. Let's take a look at my logs. These are the flights that I've done. Most of them have been in the first one I did was in the Beach Baron. Then I used the Beach Duke. You can fly assignments in the Cessna 172, but just remember you can only carry 3 people, so you're not going to be making a lot of money. This flight here, I lost money, and I'll tell you why. I think my simulator crashed on me. I didn't crash the plane, but it locked up. And when that happens, I don't recall what the website does, but if you're not careful, you'll lose your assignment, and it'll assume that it was not successful, and you don't earn anything, and you still have to pay the fee. Here's some of the fees that you have to pay. So here's your fare. Here is the rent. And then you have to pay for fuel, then the landing fee, additional crew, the ground crew fee. This one kills me. I'm not sure what the hell this is. But you have all this cost, and then you take the difference, and that's what you've earned. And over time, you can build up a nice bank account. What some kids did when this first came out, and I'm not sure how they're getting around it, but what they'd do is they get an assignment, and then they would quote-unquote turn on warp drive, that is, turn up the simulation. So a flight that normally takes an hour, they'd get it done in like 10, 12 minutes, and then they'd spend the entire weekend doing that, and they'd just accrue this enormous amount of money. I'd like to think by now they've figured out how to get around that so that people don't cheat, but it's pretty cool. And the FBO, I guess here's where you can build FBOs. I'm not exactly sure. All I know is it's kind of like a flight simulation monopoly on steroids. I haven't used much of any of these goods or FBO things. All I've done is come on here and fly and earn money. And here you can purchase aircraft. I guess these are all the planes that are for sale. And it's quite a list. Wow, look at this. T6 Texan. Who the hell would want a T6 Texan? That's what the Air Force uses for flight training nowadays, $100,000. And you can go ahead and click on the ID for every plane and see the history behind it. This one hasn't been used much. Let me go to the top. Do a Control F, ERJ. And let's see. There's 11. There's a bunch of ERJ 135s and 145s. Wow, 5 million. Which is not unlike the real world value of these planes. And look, they have the Embraer Phenom. It's a relatively new plane that came out from field there in Serenado. And these are about $500,000. Which is, from what I understand, the new Phenoms cost about 1 to 3 million each. So I guess these are good deals. But with these planes, you can't really earn much because they only hold like 5 or 6 people, tops. So, what else we got here? Grumman Goose, Hawker 850 XP. I think these in the real world these planes cost a lot more. I think that they're going for this here because you can't make a lot of money with them. The fares aren't very high because they don't carry that many people. Learjet 24B. I have this plane. I just bought it a couple weeks ago. Lockheed C-130, Captain Sim. That's pretty cool. And I guess you could, if you spend enough time on here, you can build up your own little Air Force. Rent planes out, sell them, whatever. I wonder if they have any Tomcats or F-14s or anything. Let's see. Let's see here. F-14. Nope. So let's see what else. Alright, so let's see how much the Skyhawks call. The Cessna Skyhawks. They're between 135 and 184 or 200-ish. So I'm about halfway the money required to buy a Cessna. Now, obviously, I think let's take a look here. Let's compare this Skyhawk that costs. Okay, this guy wants $1 million for his. Yeah, must be crazy. Let's look at this one that costs $250. Let's see here. Equipment, VFR, IFR, autopilot, GPS. Now remember, at the end of the day, the plane that you're actually flying is what you have in your hangar. But using the API that Microsoft has built into FSX, it allows external entities to make changes to the aircraft through FSU IPC. So I imagine that's what accounts for the difference in prices between these planes. Here we have VFR, IFR, autopilot. This one's flowing a bit. So anyway, and that is essentially the basics of FSEconomy. You got your marketplace, your workplace. Here's the marketplace, which is essentially a basic website with forums and documentation. Then you have the workplace. Here's where you come in, and here's where you find assignments and fly and earn money. And the FSEconomy Client is a tiny program that you download and you install on the computer running FSX. And once you've set up an assignment, you go ahead and search for the type of plane you have, or what you want to fly, or departure, airport, or whatever. Load up your passengers, rent the plane, and you confirm that in your My Flight tab. And once that's done, you go over and you fire up your simulator, place your aircraft at your departure airport, make sure you got your weather and everything set. Then you go ahead and fire up the FSEconomy Client, which is a tiny program on your computer. Make sure it's talking to FSU IPC, log in, and then if everything is good to go, you start your flight. If the planes doesn't match, for example, if you pull up a plane and you plan to fly that and it's not matching what you rented on the website, it won't let you do it. So then when you're done, once you've landed, set the parking brake, and then the client sends the data back to the website, and then you will see the results in your bank account. And essentially that's it. FSEconomy, I haven't flown on here for quite a while. I'm going to get back in there shortly. But that's what this is all about, and hope you find this information useful. Flight Sim Guy here. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.